Hello, welcome to episode 11 of the Old White Man Show. I call it the Old White Man Show because I'm old, I'm white, and I'm a man. What I do in this show is I give a little bit of history about things that I've lived in my life and a little bit about what's going on today. It's just their opinion of what's going on for me. Everybody has their own opinion, so whatever yours is, yours is. I grew up in Louisiana and things was different back in those days. And sometimes my kid says, what happened during the war? Well, I enlisted in the service and spent 8 years and 16 days in the Army. When I went to Vietnam, my first year I got medevaced out. And we was in a hospital transport being flown from Kanzama, Japan to Scott Air Force Base in Illinois, and we had to make a stop in Alaska to refuel. And we knew that things in America wasn't as good as they used to be. That people didn't really like the idea of the war. But then my job was a soldier. Mine wasn't to question. Mine was to do what my country told me to do, and that's what I did. I followed orders. Except I got injured and they didn't tell me to do that, but I did it. I wasn't very good, I reckon. Uh, Anyway, we landed in Alaska. It's beginning of April. There's snow all up there at the airport, piled up, cold, and we were laying on you know kind of like stacked up cots, right? You 3 or 4 high, and the whole plane's full of just injured soldiers coming back. And we sitting there. We were laying there. We're not sitting. We all laying. And they come on board and they're taking our orders for food because we just did a 13-hour segment. We didn't have no food on board, and it was hot food that we was ordering. So we ordered a hamburger and tea. And, everybody placed their orders and then they asked for money. And the pilot said, "No, I got a military. I reckon it was like a military IOU. I give you this, and y'all collect it from the military." And they said, "Nope, we ain't gonna do that. We ain't gonna give you no food." So we didn't get no food, and then the next, we continued our flight. I reckon after refueling, and ended up in Scott Air Force Base, another 6 hours away. I mean, we were on a C-130, so they wasn't the fastest things around. And we were 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, I don't remember. When we got there, they picked us up, with ambulances and took us to this fancy hotel. And they had the biggest spread of food I ever saw sitting there waiting for us. And they was apologizing for what happened at the airport in Anchorage, but that's just the way it was. You know, my second time, my second tour of Vietnam, my second year I went over there. I didn't get medevac. I spent the whole year. Everything went good. What little injuries I had, I was able to, just suck them up and keep on going. And we was on a plane coming back, and we was in our fatigues, and it was, some of us came right off the field, so we wasn't really dressed that good. But they told us as we was landing in Oakland that there was protesters there to meet us, and that we should keep our cool no matter what they do. Just keep on walking through. Don't say nothing. Don't do nothing. Don't respond in any way. That they're probably going to be pretty hostile towards us. We was just thinking, we just spent another year, killing people for our country. So I hope they're not too hostile towards us, because we wouldn't want to hurt nobody. But we followed orders. We got off the plane, and these people ran up to us, and they didn't touch us, but they were screaming and hollering, kind of like what they do to police today in these riots. And this one girl spit right in my face, and I just thought to myself, don't do nothing, go home, see your wife and baby, don't get yourself in trouble. And that's what we did, you know. We when we finally got to a civilian airlines, we flew from Oakland to Dallas and then Dallas to New Orleans. And I think there was like less than 10 people on the plane as as we flew, and the airlines treated us first class. So it was real nice. But sometimes, protesters is not they the nicest people in the world. They don't take into consideration what other people has been through, what or why, or what might happen to them if someone returns their hostility to them. So that's something that everybody who's active in the protest movement needs to realize, that now we don't have people saying no to us, that we don't do nothing. So watch who you're protesting against, watch what you're doing. I think there will be some repercussions coming against a lot of you people if y'all pick on the wrong people. Most people my age, we try to avoid trouble as much as possible, but hey, a lot of us, we carrying our weapons with us, and we are, if you push on the wrong person, well, I'm old, I ain't got that much to lose if I go to jail or I get shot. I mean, whatever it is, it is. So you got to kind of think about that. Of course, there's only that 3%. I'm a 3%er. 3% of the guys did go them, and that's like in every war. So the chances of a protester running across the veterans probably pretty slim, so that you wouldn't have to worry about it. But that 3% chance of running across one, well, it could happen. You know, so just take care. We also this week lost a Supreme Court justice, and it's a shame that the lady passed away. I know that many people in our country really thought highly of her. Other people had other opinions. You know, a lot of her votes on the Supreme Court, she was pretty conservative sometimes. She said things that was right, and she was there for representing the Constitution of the United States, trying to defend that it was there. And there's certain things that she did that I agree with, and there's certain things she did that I disagree with. What I disagreed with is her position on abortion. I don't believe in abortion. I think abortion is nothing more than murder. Uh, you know, I know that some people probably gets abortions for medical reasons to save the mother's life, and that's probably less than 1% of all abortions. The majority of abortions is done because it's the convenience factor. Uh, I mean, it'd be more convenient if you just kept your legs closed and didn't get pregnant. And then you wouldn't have to worry about it. Or if you're going to be active, take birth controls or use some type of birth control. But the murder of an unborn child is murder. And people who does that, I think, is wrong. And I do believe that God sees it all, and that one day He would judge you. And people, a lot of these people is going to hell. I figure for what I did in the war, I'm probably going to go to hell. And I accept that fact. That's one of the things that happened to me. So my eternity might not be good, but sure in the hell I know that people who does that, and a Supreme Court justice that contributed to the innocent murder of millions and millions of young babies, it's got to be feeling kind of warm about now. I also didn't agree with her position on child abuse, not child sexual abuse. This lowering the age of people having sex with children and all this other stuff like a lot of these elitists does, and she kind of was leaning that way, even though she never voted for it on the Supreme Court. She was kind of academically leaning that way, and I disagree with all that. I think that if you abuse a child, if you're a sexual abuser, right, you should be cured. Beheading is the best way to do it. I don't see no other, I don't believe in child abuse. And you guys out there women and who wants to abuse people, it's not right. It's not there. One of the things that's happening now is that we got a lot of fact checkers and people starting to check more and more facts and digging up information. Like Senator Mitt Romney. Now, you look up his information and his story, right? His dad was a governor. He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He worked for a lot of companies, Bain, who supports a lot of things. You can put them directly and related to a lot of defense. Anything that has to do with weapons, Romney's involved. He's a big supporter of a lot of abusive situations towards children. He's into the Black Lives Matter stuff. Who doesn't care anything about black people, by the way? He could care less about black people. He's in there for the power it gives to the elite, the so-called elite who lives above the rest of us. So, it's keep fact checking and letting us do a lot of research on things they did. The stores they worked on, the drug companies that they involved in, money that they donate to people like Wuhan Lab, and what they did with the coronavirus and how people are applying for patents before the disease even comes out. How did they know there was a disease? I'm kind of thinking, reading all this stuff, that maybe this stuff started a long time ago, and what they do is they invent the disease and they got it out there on the shelf in the bottle, and they're saying, okay, we got this disease ready to go. And maybe someone within the elite status that rules the world, the people we don't know nothing about, they, called someone in a Democratic National Committee and said, okay, let's get some stuff over here and let's release this virus, and then we can blame it on Donald Trump. And let's get Trump out of office because he's hurting us elite. Maybe this thing was planned prior to it actually happening. Maybe China's just a pawn being used by these other people. It's hard to understand how, but we're going to dig into it. And I think that one day we're going to find out who's behind that, and whoever's behind it is going to have a price to pay. Conspiracy theory, yeah, it could be a conspiracy theory. It could be something that's very dangerous. But there's more to it that meets the eye. And the numbers that we are hearing about the United States and 200,000 deaths and 6 or 8 million cases of it, I'm not buying that. I don't believe that. I still don't know anyone who's died of the coronavirus. I hear of people, but I don't know anyone. I know some real old people who died, and one of the side effects they said was the virus, and they blamed it on the virus. But that's not what killed them. They died of that. They already had pre-existing conditions like cancer, diabetes, heart disease, COPD, and they was really old. I reckon I would say how many young people has died of the virus. How many people in college? How many people 30 and below has died of the virus, and compare that to how many people died of the flu. That would be a much better comparison, you know. But don't use the Super O and put these numbers down, you know, because that's not true. The only thing that we can agree on is that come Saturday, the college football national champs will be playing Mississippi State. You know, I think it's like 3:30 in the afternoon. I like Mississippi. I'm sorry that they're gonna lose like they're gonna lose. So that being said, y'all have a good week, and I'll talk to y'all next week. Bye bye.